So Texas women are still fighting for options and reproductive care. There was a lawsuit that was filed earlier this year, and more women have signed on to it. Now, this woman right here, Kimberly Manzano, she was a pro-life woman, and some of these women have to go through it before they understand that abortion care is actually health care for women. So let's get into this article. The title: More Women Join Lawsuit Challenging Texas Abortion Laws. 20 women are challenging the state's abortion laws, saying they were unable to get the health care they needed for their medically complex pregnancies. It's not always because they were just using abortion for birth control. Now, someone like Kimberly now knows and understands that. When Kimberly Manzano's doctor first noticed some irregularities with her pregnancy, she turned to God, praying constantly for good news. When the diagnosis worsened, she and her husband sought comfort in the Bible's book of Hebrew, the book of hope. And when her doctor finally determined her baby could not survive outside the womb, she asked her pastor for advice. He said, "If you believe your doctor to be a godly man, take what the doctor says as clarity from God in your decision." Manzano and her husband, both devout Christians, decided the most loving thing they could do for their son was terminate the pregnancy. It was a difficult decision for the couple, who both considered themselves anti-abortion before this. But that decision between the Manzanos, their doctor, and God would now have to involve another party, the state of Texas. Although continuing the pregnancy put her at greater risk for infection and illness, Manzano's life was not currently in danger, so her doctor would not terminate her pregnancy. Texas's abortion laws have no explicit exception for lethal fetal anomalies. So she and her husband bought last-minute flights to New Mexico. Her doctor refused to send her medical records to the clinic, instead requiring her to serve as the go-between. "I was grieving, I was processing all this, and then I was also feeling like a criminal," she recalled. "It's dehumanizing, and it shouldn't be like this for healthcare." So this is a woman who wanted this child, who was married, who is a Christian, and she is coming to this realization. And so many of us have been saying this. It's not just women who are out here just doing whatever. Some of these women are literally pregnant women who are just having medical issues. But these governments, Republicans, conservatives, they just want to control women, and they won't look at medicine, medical science, the doctors. Is so aggravating. On Tuesday, Manzano and 6 other women joined an ongoing court challenge to Texas abortion laws, bringing the total number of plaintiffs in the lawsuit to 22, including 2 doctors. The new plaintiffs, like the other patients on the lawsuit, alleged they were denied care in Texas for their medically complex pregnancies, including cases where the fetus was not expected to survive after birth. Like, what is their problem? Why won't they listen? The suit filed by the Center for Reproductive Rights claimed the state's near total ban on abortion violates their rights under the Texas Constitution. After an emotional hearing in July, a Travis County judge granted a temporary injunction that protected doctors who acted in their good faith judgment to terminate complicated pregnancies. The Texas Office of Attorney General immediately appealed that ruling, putting it on hold until the Texas Supreme Court hears the case later this year. The harms to pregnant women in Texas is continuing every single day, says Molly Dwayne, senior staff attorney for the Center for Reproductive Rights. As more people learn about the lawsuit, they continue to tell us the same things are happening to them. Manzano's experience changed her mind about abortion, and she says she's sharing her story in hopes of educating people who don't realize how restrictive the state's abortion ban is. "I think I was really naive, thinking the world was one way and going through this and seeing it's not like that. But in the end, God knows my heart. He knows why I've been through this, and I'll have to stand before him one day and no one else." These people literally believe that no other people's opinions, beliefs, or experiences are worthwhile. Women have been saying this. Women have been talking about how they are being harmed, how the child was not viable, how this, why does it take touching the stove to see that it's hot when so many other people have actually touched it? A doctor's dilemma. From the first time Danielle Matheson delivered a baby in medical school, she knew she wanted to be an OBGYN. She also knew she wanted to be a mother. Matheson and her husband met playing volleyball in high school in the Fort Worth area and got married in 2019. They tried to time her pregnancy around the intensive medical school schedule and were thrilled when she got pregnant right on schedule during her fourth year. So thrilled, in fact, that her husband passed out at the first ultrasound appointment. So this is them being excited about a wanted baby that they planned. He just heard the heartbeat and the passions of fatherhood overtook him, she said, only half kidding. Matheson went in for her anatomy scan at 18 weeks. She just finished learning how to perform pregnancy ultrasounds, so immediately she knew something was wrong. Nothing was where it was supposed to be. It felt like an out of body experience. I thought the wires got crossed and it was the girl next door's ultrasound because surely nothing could be wrong with my own pregnancy. Matheson comes from a family of doctors. Her aunt was her OBGYN, and Matheson texted her from the exam room asking if something was wrong. Her aunt sent back one word: yes. Matheson's daughter had a laundry list of diagnoses: a malformed brain, something wrong with the heart, a hole at the bottom of her spine, only one kidney. She was barely in the first percentile for weight. It just kept getting worse, which made the decision easier. But this appointment was in September 2021, just a few weeks after Texas banned abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. The new law allowed private citizens to sue anyone who aided or abetted in a prohibited lawsuit. Matheson had been on the other side of these conversations as a medical student, so she knew the fear her aunt was experiencing at that moment. I wish some of these pro-life people could explain to me why y'all would expect a woman to continue with a pregnancy that has a fetus developing like this. I need a really devout pro-life person to explain what life this baby would have if it did survive outside of the womb. She said that they had the most legal conversation. She says, "I'm sorry I can't help you here, but maybe someone in another state could." And I knew exactly what she meant. Matheson went home shattered. Her mom, also a doctor, started calling clinics until she found one in New Mexico that was holding spots open for Texans. They bought first-class tickets, the only ones left, in less than 24 hours after learning this heartbreaking news, were on their way to Albuquerque. Several people on the flight assumed they were going to Albuquerque for their honeymoon, a fiction they leaned into even after they returned to Texas. This abortion clinic was still operating under COVID-19 protocols, so Matheson went in alone. In the exam room, there were journals where other patients had written messages of support. You're making the right decision, and you're doing the best you can with the information you have. Those type of sentiments Matheson has relied on the days since. So these people had to book first-class tickets to another state. Imagine that expense. Imagine the timing, the stress of that, all because these pro-life people can't just leave folks alone so they can make the best decision with the information that they have. On the plane ride back, Matheson submitted her OBGYN residency applications. She's always wanted to practice medicine in Texas like the rest of her family, but part of her was relieved when she was accepted to a program in Hawaii. Now, because of what Texas did to this woman, Texas as a state will miss out on the opportunity to have her as a doctor there. They are running people away. They are running women away simply because they will not stay out of the wombs and medical decisions of families. This is an ongoing thing. Texas, red states in general, conservatives, people have to stay out of these decisions. It's just anti-woman, and it's just to control women. But I'm glad that first lady had her wake-up call, and now she's going to be a megaphone for reproductive care and reproductive rights. I'm sure of it. I hope so. Anyways, y'all go ahead, jump in the comments and let me know what you think about this one. Like, comment, share.